today's video I'm going to be discussing two things. The first thing is going to be not a clarification, but maybe I'm just going to revisit the topic of final exams, which is what I did last week. And when I say revisit, it won't be a long talk, it will just be like 5 minutes where, yeah, you'll hear. I was about to go straight into it, but yeah, I'll discuss it for 5 or so minutes, and then I'll go on to the main topic for this video, the discussion topic, and that is dogs versus cats. And this video will probably be a shorter one because there's only so much you can say about dogs and cats. But with that being said, if you hear a dog barking in the background, please ignore it. I obviously would like to record when there's no dog barking in the background, but I can't really help it. And yeah, this is my second time doing this video because the first time the dog started and it's gotten quieter, but if it starts again I'll just try to talk over it, because I swear everyone in this neighborhood has a dog, so when one barks it sets all of them off. And sometimes there's a dog far away that will bark and I can very easily speak over it, but the one that barked when I was first recording was the one that's right next to me. So you can't really talk over that, but I'll try to if it starts in this video or in this take. So with that being said, let's begin on the clarification part of this video, and that is that I just wanted to say that I think last week I came off very extreme and passionate and quite annoyed, and yeah, I was, and I kind of just wanted to say that yeah, I hate final exams, but I probably don't hate them as much as, when I say hate them, I mean I hate taking them and I hate preparing for them, but as a tool to measure performance, I can see their merits, as some people in the comments pointed out. One person said they pointed out the factor that each person has a different unique set of skills, and no matter the tool that you use to measure those, it's always going to kind of be a bit biased towards one or the other. So if you were to do an oral presentation or a written exam, there are going to be some people who will exceed at speaking and some people who will obviously exceed at writing. So I do get that, and yeah, I do see how they're probably one of the better tools we could use. I get very passionate about how bad they are when I'm having to do one. And my main issue with the one that I had to do was that it just felt arbitrary, especially having to write it by hand, and it just feels what's the point, especially when I'm doing a business degree if I haven't actually said that's what I'm doing, majoring in HR. So of course that entails writing, but it just feels like there's better ways that you could examine that other than just writing a bunch of essays about relatively meaningless topics. Of course that information is important, to the degree it's important, but I just feel ranting and writing a bunch of essays about it isn't a good way of representing that, especially when someone might not be a good writer physically, or someone might just not be that great at making an essay, but they might understand the content. It's that's kind of what I was getting at, that for my specific content it just feels arbitrary, and meaningless. So I probably should have said in the video before, like, what degree I was doing and like what the topic was. So I think that's all I want to say as far as the final exam goes. I just kind of wanted to come on and say that that I read everyone's comments and I definitely do see the merits of it. And that, like, I probably came on a lot more extreme in the previous video than I actually, like, feel about it in reality. Just because of how close that exam was and all that. So now, as of now, the 3rd of July, I have finished every exam, my 2 exams, and I just have to pray, cross my fingers, any form of manifestation that I pass these classes, because then I graduate. Because it's like my last semester, but I don't like saying it's my last semester, or, you know, I'll graduate, because obviously I might not if I don't pass, and I don't want to jinx it. But fingers crossed that I pass. So, with that being said, I think that's the end of that topic, and I'll get on to dogs versus cats now. It's such a basic topic, but actually the first thing I'll talk about is how I even thought about this topic. And that was, I was sitting on the couch while the robot vacuum cleaned my bedroom, and also my laptop, and I was just sitting there, and one of the cats jumped up for demanding some pats. And as she was jumping up, I was sitting there thinking, like, what am I actually going to record? And I was like, oh my god, should I just do dogs versus cats? It was almost like a joke thought, but I'm gonna do it because I can't really think of anything else at the moment, and I feel like everyone has an opinion on this topic. You know, some people like both, some people like neither, and some people love one and don't like the other, or they're like, you know, they like prefer one but they also like the other. Which, that's me, by the way. So, what was I gonna say? I would just say my opinion first, and that is that I prefer cats. I'm definitely a cat person. So I will give a quick rundown of my my pet history. I won't include pets that I've had, like, outside of cats and dogs, because it's not really relevant to the topic, of course. So yeah, let's do my pet history. So when I was born, there were already, I think, 2 dogs and maybe a cat. Actually, you know what, I won't say when I was born. By the time I was, like, sentient, there were 2 dogs and 1 cat, and then there were a few birds, but I said I won't talk about that. So yeah, so that's what we had. Very early in my life, the first dog passed away, so I remember very little about him. That's all. I can't really say much for him, to be honest. If you asked my father about it, he was the best dog ever. If you asked my mother about it, he was aggressive. But she still thought he was a good dog. You had to keep him away from, like, groups and stuff, because he could get aggressive. I don't know. And she never let me or my brothers linger with him for too long. So, for that reason. So, and then, I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to get an idea. And then I think the cat passed away. We have a retaining wall out in the backyard, as cats do, they like to just walk along random things and like balance themselves. And she started like wobbling and would fall, and then she stopped eating, so Mum and Dad took her to the vet, and she had I don't know what, but something wrong with her brain. I don't know if it was a tumour or if it was like a brain disease, but she had something wrong and it was terminal, so she was put down. That was when I was very young still. I was like, that would have been, gosh, maybe 2011. Yeah, 2012, when I was like, how old was I then? 7, I think. Yeah. So I was very young. I barely had a concept of death. And so yeah. So I'm kind of getting off topic. Like, who cares? No, who cares? Like, it's okay. I'll do a quick rundown. Still, I'll continue on. Then I think, and then after that cat, we only had the dog. I think, and then the dog passed away. And again, same deal as the cat. I didn't really have a concept of death. At least not that I remember. Maybe this happened earlier than 2011. I don't know. What I can tell you for a fact is, by 2013, we definitely didn't have a cat, and we most likely didn't have the dog, so they had passed away by then. So then, in 2013 on Christmas Day, my parents got my brothers and like everyone a cat, and we got her as a kitten. And yeah, so we got her, she was a kitten. And then that next year in 2014, on Mother's Day, we got Lily. We got a dog. And and she was an American Staffy. And so we had Lily and Molly. Then up until 2017, we had those two, and then Molly went missing because my parents, we had her as a not an outdoor cat. I don't know what word you'd use to describe it, but like, she came inside when she wanted and she went outside when she wanted. It's not like we excluded her from being inside or excluded her from outside. So yeah. And let me just say also, actually no, I'll say it at the end. So yeah. Molly went missing, the cat. And we, like, to this day, we don't really know what happened. And then we got, this is embarrassing, we got another cat in 2019. And basically what happened with this cat was we got her as like a little kitten, like a really little kitten. And we had her and we kind of didn't really have a name. So we were too indecisive and we couldn't really come up with a name. So we just like, put like puss, pussa. And that ended up just becoming her name. So she was registered at the vet under the name of, I think, Buddha. So that's a bit embarrassing. I remember in high school, like when we had that cat, it was like a bit embarrassing when people would ask, oh, like, what's her name? And I'm like, Buddha. But we had her until she went missing on my 18th birthday, and she just took off when I was having the party. So, I don't know. Cats can be such divas, but same deal with her. She was a indoor-outdoor cat. Then, by the way, we still have the dog from 2014, by this point. And then Buddha. started university. So we got this lovely little cat called Thunder. He was a tuxedo cat. We had him from 2023 until 2024 when he died of, I think, pancreatic cancer. He got really skinny. He wouldn't eat, so he was taken to the vet, and he was riddled with cancer, throughout the pancreas, and I think maybe the stomach or the liver. I can't remember, but the vet sent my father a photo, and I have that photo on my phone, where you can see the cancer, and it's just this big, of just a tumor. So he was put down, because the doctor said that yeah, you could cut it out. The vet said that yeah, you could cut it out, but you'd be cutting out 90% of his pancreas, of his organs, so he probably wouldn't live. So we were really sad. That was the first animal that I ever witnessed being put down, actually saw. Because it was my father and I who took him to the vet, and we're at the vet, and he was in surgery, and so he was already unconscious, and he was just he was put down, and in retrospect, I kind of think it probably looked a bit funny, because not to perpetuate any gender roles or stereotypes, but it probably looked a bit silly, two grown male adults sitting there sobbing over a cat, because Dad and I were both crying, full on crying, talking to him and stuff. It was sad. I can't, with animals being put down, it makes me so upset. So that happened in September of 2024, and then I'll actually now backtrack. At the start, no. At the end of 2023, yep, I get home from university and I see a little cat in the garden, and every time I see a cat, I try to get it to come over to me. I don't chase it or anything. I'll just go, and so I got out of the car, saw this cat in the garden, and I was doing that, and she comes straight over to me. Comes over. She's a bit scared, but she comes over, gets some pats and all that, and then I look back in the garden and I see that there are 3 little kittens all lined up watching her. So yeah, basically, yeah, I pet this cat, I go inside, life goes on. Then the next day she's there, then the day after, then the day after, then the day after, then the day after, and she's just there. And because we have Thunder at this time, we were just feeding her, because we had the cat food, and we were feeding her kittens. No, sorry, by that point, she fed her kittens with the breast milk, but we fed her. So, sorry about that. So then she came, she kept coming here, and we would try to get the kittens to come in to the house. Not even to the house, just up the stairs. It took, maybe at least maybe a month, or maybe I don't know. It took a while for the kittens to. I think it took about a week for them to just for them to let us pet them, and then it took a month for them to come inside. And so by this point, what was I gonna say? By this point they were even in our backyard. They had met Thunder. They got along fine. They had met Lily. Also by this point we still had the same dog. And she was so kind to the thousands of cats that we had. She never attacked them. the cats never attacked her. Like, it was really, like, perfect. So we had these kittens and this older cat, and there was a ginger kitten, a grey one, and we'll say a brown one. She wasn't brown, but it's like the best description. The ginger one just took off. The ginger one took off. Like, we only saw him. So I met the mother, and I think he and the kittens, and he took off maybe 2 days after that. He wasn't there for very long. The grey one and the brown one stayed for longer. The grey one took off maybe about a month later, and the brown one I gave to a friend because he wanted a cat. And the mum was getting to the point that she, if you weren't aware, cats start like attacking their children. Maybe dogs do as well, I don't know, but cats will attack their children when they kind of want them to like fly the nest. So yeah, that was starting to happen. So we were getting concerned that this last brown one would kind of just take off, and God knows what would happen. So we gave her to a friend, and then the mother cat ended up pregnant again, because by this point we hadn't like fully taken her on. Like, we hadn't taken her to the vet to get de-sexed or anything, but we were feeding her and everything. But she fell pregnant, and Mum was so annoyed because she kept telling my father to take her to get de-sexed because we were gonna like take her in, but Dad didn't, and so she ended up pregnant. Then on the 18th of March 2024, she gave birth to 5 healthy kittens. Long story short, we gave 2 of the kittens away, and we kept 3. So, sorry, just had to take a breath. So at the peak of our cat ownership, it was in March of 2024, March to September, and that was when we had Thunder, the one we adopted, Stormy, the mother, Ash, the grey kitten, Tigress or Tigress, the brown kitten that looked like a tiger, and we had Raven, the tuxedo cat who looked the exact same as Thunder, except Thunder had a little mustache. And then we had 2 other kittens that we gave away. So, we had that. That was the peak. But then, I think we possibly had given kittens away by September, and then Thunder died in September, and that was when we got to our amount that we have now, which is 4 cats: Stormy, Ash, Tigress, and Raven. So the 3 kittens and their mother, and she hated her kids. Like, they could not come within like 5, not even 5 meters. Like, they couldn't come within like, if they were in the same room, she would like charge at them, like hiss at them, like no. So we tried to keep them separated. The kittens stayed inside and the mum went outside, and then now they get along like much better. Like, they can lay next to each other. Sometimes Stormy will get a bit like, angry if they kind of like enter her personal space, but for the most part they're alright. Like, they'll eat together and everything. So, and then Lily passed away. The dog passed away. Like 5 days ago. Sorry, it's just the way I'm sitting there. Like, even though it happened within the last week, it was on Friday. It was a week ago. Wow, time flies. It was on Friday. And so yeah, I was there. I cried because it's always sad. And so yeah, she was just very skinny, like frail. By this point she was like 12 years old. She had all these tumors on her. Like, it was for the better, for the best. And now we're updated. Jesus, it's been 25 5 minutes. Okay, I might make this like a rant about my pets. And then the question, which one do you prefer? I'll give a quick rundown of why I prefer cats, because this is already very long. So, having had both cats and dogs, I feel like I'm equipped to give my opinion at least. What I wanted to say earlier was that I am aware that having like an outdoor cat does like reduce their lifespan. I think it's like not good, because they can go missing, they can get like hit by a car, among many other things. But my parents decided they wanted to let them out. My brother and I like fought them all the time about that, but what can you do? Like, I can't really do much. But anyways, so they go outside, come inside, but we don't like, they do not go far, and they come in and out like all the time. Like at least once an hour there's one of them that wants to come back in. So especially now that it's cold, they are more inclined to come inside the house. So getting on to the actual topic, which will be very short, which is which do I prefer? I prefer cats, and the quick rundown is just I'm a very, what's the word? This is going to sound, okay, a disclaimer. When I say that I prefer cats, and when I explain why I prefer cats, I just want to really emphasize that I do not hate dogs at all, by any means. It's going to sound like I do. So let me just say that. Okay. I am quite a, what's the word? Like, I don't like feeling contaminated. And every animal makes me feel contaminated, including the cats. But dogs make me feel worse. Especially, like, when they, like, lick you and they, like, slobber all over you. Or, like, when you pet them and, I don't know, I just feel like, in my mind, they're, like, more dirty. I know it sounds really horrible, but it's the truth. Cats, when I say that I feel contaminated by the cats, that doesn't mean that I refuse to touch them. I will just go wash my hands. And same with dogs. If there's a really cute dog, I will pet them. I will just go wash my hands afterwards, which, I mean, is best practice. But yeah, so that's one big reason. So it's nothing against the dogs themselves, it's just the way my brain works. Secondly, I kind of like how cats are a bit, like, distant from you, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to advocate for not giving your pets attention, because you should. But, like, cats, they are very explicit about their boundaries. Like, if you pat them too much, they'll or scratch or whatever, or they'll just walk off or whatever, right? So it's like, I like that I can pet them and they do what they want to do, and if they're not comfortable with it, they'll walk away, whatever, right? Whereas dogs, I feel, are a lot more like clingy, and more like into your personal space, if that makes sense. Whereas cats are like, and like, even if the cat is in my room, it won't be sitting here like on me. It'll just be like on the bed or like on the windowsill. Like, they like their own space. But these my kittens, or our kittens, they like their own space, but they like being among people. So they will come into the living room and sit like right next to you, but they, like they like to just sit there. They do like their pets, and they are very demanding. Like, especially the mother, she will come in and slam her head against you if you don't pat her. It's quite funny because she's a stray. We had her checked. Like, microchipped and everything. Sorry. We had her checked for a microchip, and there was nothing, and she is the kindest, like, most, like, outgoing cat I think we've ever had, and she's a stray. So that's interesting. Like, she's more outgoing than her kittens are with us. So, and her kittens were with us from day one. So, anyways, but the cats, you know, they come to you, they get their pats, and they walk off. They like, alright, done. And I just kind of think it's a bit funny, and so I kind of just like that about them. And then thirdly, dogs are loud. Like, as like, you know, Exhibit A at the start of this video, they were barking. And yeah, so sometimes I just find the barking really annoying, and of course cats can meow, but it's like meow, and like the volume level is a bit different, and it kind of just annoys me. I'm sorry, I probably sound like a horrible person, but like, the barking just drives me crazy sometimes, especially like the purse dogs. They're like bark. It drives me crazy. So that's another, especially when I want to record an ASMR video and they're barking, it drives me nuts. And that's about all really. Like, again, I prefer cats, but I don't hate dogs. I still like them. I still think they're very cute. And yeah, I love dogs and I love cats really, but I just prefer cats. So my list of why I prefer, sorry, I was just staring up there because it says 59 minutes at the top. I hope that's not a bad thing. But anyways, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I don't hate like the dogs. I love both of them. I just prefer cats. So I'm not an evil monster. Yeah, I think that's all I can really say. About cats and like my preference for cats, yeah, over dogs, because again, it's not that strong. I really want to reiterate that I'm not an evil psycho who hates dogs. I don't. But I do prefer cats. So anyways, sorry if the video feels like incomplete because I got distracted. I feel like there's something I need to finish off with, but I don't think there is. But yeah. I think that's all. There's not much really to it. And if I, had to come up with something else, I'd be sitting here thinking all day, like, about why I prefer cats. So, without further ado, that is the end of the video. So please let me know which one you prefer, because I'm just curious. Like, I feel like everyone has kind of an opinion on this topic, same as the weather one. Just because like dogs and cats are so common. But anyways, thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for all like the detailed comments on the previous video about the exams. I really appreciated hearing like everyone's opinions, experiences. It seems like a lot of people have been stuck doing exams in university or college. So thank you for telling me all those. I really appreciated it, and I really appreciated hearing all your thoughts and opinions. Secondly, thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying the videos. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for everything to do with that. And thirdly, feel free to comment on this video about your opinions, with this topic. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching today's video, and I really hope that you enjoyed it. So yeah, that's all. And yeah, feel